Oh wait, no longer greatness has arrived. Welcome to the Trophy Room review of Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm your host Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit, and we are here to give my thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows. Of course, code provided by Ubisoft. Thank you, Ubisoft. But my thoughts are my own. That said, I always like to do a little thoughts walking in, thoughts walking out type review with all a little goodness sprinkled in between. So let's get right into it. My thoughts walking in. I'm an AC fan and a lover of history, and although I'm not a stan of the series, I've been there since Assassin's Creed 1, and I've been there since the latest installment, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I've always had a good time with both the stealth approach and the more action-oriented games in the series like Origins, Odyssey, and the direction they've taken with Valhalla. Though I will say that seeing from the outside looking in, the fan base is rather torn. There's a side that really wants to embrace the stealth elements, and then there's the quote modern fans that want Ubisoft to embrace the more action RPG elements. This team is trying to strike a chord for both sides of the aisle to come together to play this Assassin's Creed game on their terms. And as skeptical as I was walking into what is essentially a dev saying you can have your cake and eat it too, spoiler alert, I was pleasantly surprised that they were able, for the most part, to just hit it out of the park by giving folks so many options to play the way that they want to play. If you want the immersive RPG, here's your choices mode, there's that for you. If you just want the game to tell you a linear story, that's an option for you as well, though I would believe you're robbing yourself if you don't do the immersive mode, which gives you some of the best choices in an Assassin's Creed game ever, and some just really great choices on a AAA RPG level. There's truly some times where you're not even in a shade of gray, you just feel like you did something wrong. That being said as well, there's a guided quest mode, and then there's also their new quest system that they're trying to put out, and I'll talk a little bit about that more in the review itself. But overall, I played this game on a PlayStation 5 Pro, and this has to be one of the smoothest, most polished Ubisoft launches ever, if not the most polished launch. Listen, we all know Ubisoft has a rap here, but I'm really pleasantly surprised to see that on my PlayStation 5 Pro, there was no hitches, there was no frame rate dips, and when it came to, pop-in graphical bugs, very limited. And I mean very limited to like certain chests and closets, but nothing of the sort, no invisible faces here. That being said, let's get into the characters of Assassin's Creed Shadows, starting with my personal favorite, Naoe. So no shade to Mirage, because I love that game, but this feels like a true evolution and step forward from the stealth-based genre that we know and love that the series was born from. It's like if you put Assassin's Creed 2 in the modern day, how would it work? It would work like Naoe's kit here. She's a stealth-based character. She is not about taking large crowds of bad guys on head on. She will die instantly. If you try to take on more than 3 bad guys at once, you're going to have a really bad time. She's all about working in the shadows. She's a shinobi at the end of the day, and she has her tools.
Tools! Tools! Duct tape, zip ties, and gloves! I have to have my tools!
That she uses to dispense and to break up crowds and to unleash her hidden shinobi powers on. That said, you have a kunai, that's your long range, kill them from a distance. You have your ninja stars, which when you upgrade them to the max, they create a daisy chain of death from afar. You have smoke bombs that help you also either kill a few guys in a crowd or get the hell out of Dodge as fast as you can. And then you have a little bell that you get to throw around, and apparently all these guys are cats because they just need to see what's up with the little jingle. And then you get to kill them from afar, just disperse them. That said, though, it also extends onto the main weapons that she uses. So we all know a katana. Their special abilities as swords is being able to stab through thin walls or doors. Then you have the tanto, which is able to double assassinate folks, which I find the most useful. And then you have the mace, which is able to grapple hook onto bad guys and then stab them quickly and get the hell out. There's a ton of options for you to use, and because they allow you to use two weapons at once, you have a lot of ways to get in and out of combat as fast as you can. And when you're caught, it's all about killing that enemy as fast as you can so you could get back into the shadows. Which adds to a little side tangent, which is the night-day cycle. Impressive. Like, they really want to emphasize being able to work at night, but also to turn the lights off, meaning like being able to throw a ninja star at a candle and completely extinguish it so that you're able to kill folks easier at night, or get away with being able to kill people in closer proximity to each other. The day-night cycle is really impressive, and it's even hard for me to see at times when all the lights are turned off and it's pitch black. That said, there's also an evolution to that. Seasons in this game changes how the maps are actually done. And I know that sounds cliche, I know it sounds big picture, but when it snows, you feel cold. It really is impressive. Just the particle effects and sound design at work here do a fantastic job of setting the tone of what it's like to be in the middle of a fort in a blizzard in the dead of winter. And not only that, because the visibility is low and because there's so much noise, you're able to kill and assassinate bad guys much easier. But also, when it's foggy, that means you can't see them all too well either. It adds to the nuance, it adds to the world, and even a frozen lake means you're able to traverse a map differently. And maybe Naoe's strength to Yasuke not being able to traverse an ice, covered lake because he will fall on his ass because he's a samurai wielding a 200-pound armor. That's what's so awesome about these characters, is that they both feel so uniquely different that it really depends on what mood you want to be in when you want to play as those characters. And so let's talk about them. What you thought was an impenetrable wall, meet an actual unstoppable force. That is Yasuke. He is not about knocking on the front door to solve problems. He's here about breaking that door down. He's literally a human battering ram, and breaking through doors and walls never gets boring. He is a ton of fun to use, and he is the character that says, hey, bring on the whole crowd because I'm going to destroy them one by one. Whether it's with his longsword that adds excellent balanced solo attacks, whether it's his polearm that is an AoE madhouse that's able to slice and dice and turn people into julienne fries, or whether it's a big giant mallet that he's able to bonk people on the head so brutally, each one of his kits speaks to the force that is Yasuke. And yeah, he doesn't have the in-depthness that Naoe has, that why I love her so much as a character and why I love to play her. He is the guy that's like, hey, let's turn your brain off and let's just mollywop some dumb fools. He is a character that, though wasn't my favorite to play, it wasn't because he didn't lack anything in particular. It's just because I yearn for the stealth-based gameplay. But he's a ton of fun when you use him. Like, for me, the polearm was my weapon of choice. Being able to literally use people as human battering rams was so much fun. And seeing the faces of the enemies that you're killing, they're even scared to go up against you. You're literally a hulking 6'5" dude in samurai armor. And because of that, yeah, you're a huge force on the ground, but you're not meant to be climbing up walls. So don't think you're going to be climbing the tallest point on Yasuke, because he's a bit clumsy. Like, when he falls into that barrel of hay, he ain't doing it with grace. When he's on a ice-covered lake, he's slipping and busting on his ass. When he's trying to go on a tightrope, well, why would you be on a tightrope? You're literally like 500, whatever. He breaks the tightrope. He is a clumsy dude, but with a ton of heart. The one thing that I do want to recommend to folks because the tree system is so vast, you can reset your character as many times as you want. There is no type of punishment for that, so it's actually rewarding. If you want to reset your points and put them into another category, the game allows you to do that. So if you just picked up a shiny new bonky mace as Yasuke and you used to use a sword, you could take the points from your sword and put them right over to your mace without any type of penalization or weird type of pay X amount of currency to do that. Also, the armor system is pretty darn rad. There's a lot of awesome, cool armor kits in this game, but also ones that do various different abilities, strengths, and weaknesses depending on your playstyle. You get to engrave your weapons and armor the way you want to approach combat. His lack of mobility, it's a good balance and good distinguishing factor from him versus Naoe, who is a much more nimble, who can go through and climb the highest point no problem. But when it comes to exploration in the game, that means it really does force you to choose Naoe over Yasuke 9 times out of 10, because she is going to be able to climb things with much more ease than Yasuke is. And that's what I found myself going to when traveling the open world, which meant I was kind of more forced to use Naoe even when I didn't want to. Each character is different and each are main characters of their own respective stories. Though I will have to say, Naoe is at the front of the story where Yasuke is very close behind her. She is the one that's mostly moving this plot forward. The story is mainly focused around her, and it is essentially Kill Bill meets 7.
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
And trust me, that reference is going to make sense. Nonetheless, the way this story is laid out is it's through the main circle of assassinations that you have to dish out. And how these assassination missions work is they act as more like vignettes, where you're able to go across each assassination whichever way you want, which means the way you approach each assassination is going to be different to when your friend approaches said assassination, which kind of makes your adventure feel like your own. And through each vignette, you have little mini chapters within each, which you're able to switch between Naoe and Yasuke. So if you feel like there's a certain situation you're about to get into that's better suited for Yasuke, go ahead, pick him. Or if you feel like this vignette best suits Naoe and her story and her arc and her progression, you can do that as well. It gives you the freedom to choose who you want to play as when you want to play as too. As fun as choosing through the characters is, it would be a nicer way to switch between both characters on the fly rather than having to go back into your inventory, hitting a inconvenient 5-second loading screen, and then bam, you're placed into the character that you chose. The choices that you have within each vignette is really special, and it actually makes you think, which is why I can't stress enough, choose the immersion mode, choose the RPG elements, because it really feels like you build your character the way you feel like Naoe would approach a situation rather than the story dictating how she would. There's a few in between missions where I truly felt conflicted of, am I actually doing the right thing if I off this baddie, or maybe their reasons were justified. You get to choose. And as for side content's concerned, for the most part, it's pretty solid. You're getting smaller assassins boards that you're trying to find little rival gangs and little mini bosses around the world to find and to assassinate. Those are really cool. It's actually more interesting how you find them though. Like, for example, you'll get your basic missions where you'll have the exclamation point on someone's head for sure, but then you'll get things that build the world. Like, you'll have a group of people in a village that you see are accusing someone of poisoning the food in the town. And you have to see if this person truly is doing what the crowd is accusing, or there's something more behind the scenes. Or you'll be walking along the town and you'll just see two people whispering at each other saying, hey, I think there's like a hidden chest in a waterfall nearby. And it'll ping it on your map and you're able to explore and find that it's actually some hidden tomb of a whole bunch of dead soldiers, which is pretty darn cool. And then you get just folks that you find along your path that you save that give you interesting locales to go check out, or you could find a swan on a lake and just trace them out and sketch them and create these beautiful drawings. For the most part, the side quests are solid. They're no Bloody Baron, but they get the job done and they're fun to play. But there are some side quests like the, Simon Says Samurai Sword minigame, the prayer on top of a cliff minigame, and then some exploration minigames like the one that you're finding things in shrines that's scattered throughout an area. Those you can really just do without, and they take away from the overall world that these quests build, because these villages, these towns, and these cities, I know it sounds cliche, but they feel lived in. These cities feel like people are actually bustling here in the summer, and when it's winter, people are indoors trying to keep warm. It truly feels like these developers took a DeLorean, went back in time in Kyoto in the 1500s, and captured what it was like there. It's like when people are bustling in the town when it's the summer, or people are huddled indoors during the winter. It really does feel like the Ubisoft somehow found a time machine and just captured what they saw on this game. That said, there are some more cons. 1, base building. Guys, gang, developers, I'm trying to be an assassin. I'm trying to be a badass samurai. The last thing I want to be is an interior decorator. Please stop putting base building in your games. I just want to get back to stabbing people in the face as I jump off ledges. That's all I want to do. The base building aspect, I could take it or leave it. Luckily, you can avoid it for the most part, but there are aspects like upgrading gear that you need the base building for, and those aspects are gatekept by minerals that you have to collect through forts, and at the same exact time, these minerals are scarce to come by, which makes it kind of cumbersome to try to collect all these things while I just want to get back to building my character rather than the base. And that goes back to the last con, which is the scout system in this game. Scouts are used to help take materials in to help build your base and then build your character, and they also help scope out the quests in this game, which luckily you could get back to a guided quest system, which is your classic, here's your little line, go follow it until you meet a quest giver, or you could go to what they want you to do, the main type of quest system that they have in the game, which is here, use this scout, ping this location where you think the quest is going to be by these context clues that we use, but they're way too vague and sometimes inaccurate. And then your quest giver is going to be somewhere in that area. It sounds convoluted. That's because it is convoluted. I just truthfully think you should just stick to the guided mode, though there is a trophy/achievement tied to the scout system in the game, so please check a look at the scout achievement before switching it back to the guided view. That said, gang, that's my review of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Those are the good, the bad, and the in-between. What's my takeaway of the game? Honestly, this is one of my favorite Assassin's Creed. In terms of story, I think it might just be the best. In terms of the gameplay, it's so much fun and the world is beautiful. The performances, almost forgot about the performances. Naoe and Yasuke in particular hit me in the feels so many times. Yasuke in particular, my man, whoever voice actor you are, salute to you. You did an incredible job. There is so much love, time, and care and dedication in this game, and you can see it in every corner and every nook and cranny. There is something just about this game that makes it so special. That said, at the end of the day, if I had to give it a very scientific score, I use a rubric and everything, 1 to 100, where would I rate this game? I'm pretty sure I would give this baby an 87. This is a really fun time. This is a really beautiful game, and Yeah, I can't wait to get back to it and platinum it. So with all that said, with all that out of the way, I got a game to platinum. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit like, share, subscribe. And listen, I'm new to this, so if you like this review, please hit like, share, subscribe. It really does help me out, grows this channel. And if you liked what you see and you want to see more, we do a podcast called The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Wednesday night we go live as my best friends and I talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. Go check that out, or on the podcast feeds the very next day after. With all that said, and with all that out of the way, everybody keep you what's about you, keep hunting, and keep playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. Have a nice one.